This episode is brought to you by the Ultimate Girls Trip. Here is our reoccurring daydream. Us at a drool-worthy pool, surrounded by our business besties. We just finished a powerful exercise on building our dream lives and executing our business goals. Join us if you are ready to be celebrated for taking up space, to feel purposeful, and to live a life of fulfillment. Go to proofitspossible.com for more info. Welcome to Proof It's Possible. Jamie and I are multifaceted entrepreneurs, the founders of the Ultimate Girls Trip, and the hosts of Proof It's Possible. Jamie and I are also sisters, best friends, and complete opposites, but somehow we always manage to stay on the same team. Join us every week to hear our thoughts on all things entrepreneurship, friendship, family, pulp culture, and more.
Hello! Today we are going to chat about... Why did you look at me all quick like that?
Well, I just want to see your face. Thank you.
We're talking about the advice we needed when we first started in business.
Yeah. What advice didn't I need? It's a better question. I had it in my heart that I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just didn't know what I was doing whatsoever. So
yeah,
I feel, and truthfully, I did it in all stages of learning.
You have to.
Did bad business for a little while and then did
you got to learn your lesson. You got to mess it up so bad that you're never again. I'm never doing it like that again.
Totally.
And then you learn your lesson, you make the correction, and then you carry on.
Exactly.
So what are some of the mess ups that you did?
Oh, well, one of the biggest things I wish I knew then, I felt like I was so scared to ask the price to get the help I needed. So rather than be like, oh, how much does a bookkeeper cost? I just was like, can't afford that. Don't have any customers, don't have any money. And so I just poverty mentality it till I couldn't do it anymore, and just did a bad job.
You tortured me.
I tortured you and made you do it.
She made me do it.
And that was mean. It was very mean. And I'm sorry about that. I've apologized on the podcast before. I've apologized in person. I mean,
it's unforgivable.
It is. It's something that's just going down on you're going to have a booklet of grievances when you pass away at 90 that you're my sister made me do her books.
Oh.
Yeah, but things like that, rather than find out that it's actually not that expensive and it would have caused so much less confusion and it is not very
saved a lot of heartache.
Yeah. A lot of sister problems here.
And your own personal heartache.
Yeah, my own personal heartache too, honestly. That brings me more stress than anything in the world, any person in the world. So now that I have the right professionals involved and I pay them a reasonable amount of money that is not crazy, just ask the question. Ask the question on what the professionals that you do need are. What do they charge? So that you're not being
budget
that costs a lot of money and just writing it off as an option for you because you're operating out of lack mentality where you're
That's
nervous.
One of the things for me is operating out of lack mentality, being oh, I have to get every project and scoop it all up and make hay while the sun shines. Meanwhile, I also have to be marketing, social media.
Yes, exactly. Accounting, lawyer,
HR.
Exactly.
All the things. So for me, it was, I don't know. There's so many lessons I've learned. I've said this before on the podcast, but contracts. But one thing that is intangible, you can't measure it, and it's the gut feeling. If something feels off to you,
totally,
you have to listen to that.
And if you haven't built that muscle yet though.
It's
because the thing is, when I first started, I felt I didn't charge my worth. So that was another thing that it felt better to me. It felt safer to me to be I charge $2 an hour pretty well versus be this is my rate and stand behind it and whatever. I was so nervous about losing the client because I didn't feel confident in myself.
Yes, but that is, to me, I don't know. This is a slippery slope because I see a lot of people out there that are you didn't charge enough. That's why you're never attracting clients.
I know.
And then they go and they charge 4 times what they were charging before. And it's well, now they're really not attracting clients.
Yeah.
I do think you have to have
There's
warranted.
A sweet spot.
Yes. And it's based on your success.
Absolutely.
Like, you don't get to enter into it as the newbie, kind of like you were talking about. Like, it used to take you a long time to build websites, and you don't get to enter in as the newbie and be like, I'd like the senior rate. Like, I want the professionals.
Yeah, I'm
going to charge what the professionals charge, even though they've been doing it for 35 years. And sure. I just learned last week, but
right. You want to be the partner at the law firm on your first day.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. Like, I agree, but at the same time, you have to find a sweet spot where it is an entry level price, but it still makes you a living. And like makes you some money. And
it doesn't mean that, like, for me, one of the biggest errors I used to do is that I would charge out hourly for like my expertise, safety expertise. But then there would be all of these demands outside of the hours that I was being paid for. And I never once said no to them.
Exactly.
But it's like, well, no, if I have to drive 3 hours to site, I'm getting paid for those 3 hours too. Because I can't be on another job site. I can't be working somewhere else.
You're not at home with your family.
Exactly.
Like, for sure. And like, that's what I mean by knowing your worth, that it's like all the hours you put in actually count. Not just the hours they see your face.
Yes.
Or whatever, however it looks in your industry. What are some other ones that you, like, lessons that you've needed? I mean, I needed so many that it's hard to even like dig back.
I know.
But
and like, I don't know, maybe this is my trauma response. Or like, I have no memories.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's like having a baby. You don't remember how painful it was while you're in it.
Absolutely.
Or else you wouldn't wake up the next day. Like, you'd be like, it's a no for me. I can't do that again. I can't do that again.
One thing that I do believe to be true, though, is that when you're coming from like a place of like service, or like, when times are tough in my business, and we've had some tough times with COVID and all of that, when times were tough financially, I was like, what can I do to help more people? What can I do to help more people? And not like, what can I do to help more people that are willing to pay me? Just like, what can I do for free in the world to like put out good in the world? And like, even if I didn't have a ton of money at the time, I was often like, can I buy your groceries? Or, doing something to just like make sure that karma was still on my side.
For sure. Well, and like, that's not a bad thing to take away at any point in your life. You don't have to be a new business owner.
True.
I feel like if you think about others and serve people in some other way, like I've talked about this before, that in my life, I take a lot from people. I need a lot from people. I need help physically. I need support around just like not feeling sad, or not feeling, things around my health or whatever. And so it dawned on me one day, like, you got to do something nice for other people too. And maybe it's not going to be like exactly back to the person that helps me all the time, but it's like giving my time to a charity. It's organizing a gift thing for children, or a family at Christmas.
Yeah.
It's putting good into the world that just, makes me feel good. It makes me happy. Mm-hmm. And I do believe that kind of like energy spreads through the rest of your life. Because if you're happy in some areas of your life, you'll bring that happiness to your business. You'll bring that happiness to your family. You'll bring that happiness to everything.
Yeah.
Everything you do, to your friends. So serving the world in a bigger way than just like not committing crimes,
totally.
is a huge important part of like the overall journey. And the more you can serve people, and like, that's what's cool about your entrepreneurship journey, is that you might have better and different and bigger ways that you can serve. As your business grows and your success grows, you're in a position to help more people.
Totally.
Like Chris Harder
that's like
always says.
That's what my like guiding light is, that make good money so you can help more people.
Exactly. And like, that's what Chris Harder always says, when good people make good money, they can do good things.
Yeah.
And I believe in that so much. And I think the more good things that you do, you're a huge recipient back, just from the universe giving you good vibes and giving you opportunities and all of that. But when you're a new business owner, it's hard to even imagine like doing anything for anybody else, because you're run off your feet. Like, you're trying so hard.
You're also like barely paying your own bills.
Yeah,
because you're in startup phase, which is expensive.
Exactly. It's very expensive. And, but
time, you don't always have to give with money. You can give with time, you can give with kindness, you can give with energy. It can be the smallest thing. Like, totally. And if you do want to give with money, it can be as small as like buying a person a Tim Hortons coffee behind you.
Yeah, for sure.
It's $2, you know, like it's not.
One thing I also did in my business is that I didn't focus in on one thing to be really good at. Like I was so busy being like, well, you know, I got to offer all the services in my field and hope that, you know, throw a bunch of mud at the wall and hopefully something sticks.
Right.
Where it's like, I never did say, well, no, I'm just going to stick to like auditing. I'm just going to stick to like safety program development. I'm just going to stick to one thing and become the best at that.
Right.
But when you're just learning all of the things, I don't think you can master more than one thing at one time.
Right.
I think you have to focus your energy, and it's okay to offer those services, but they might be at a much lower rate because you're not the master at it. And
or it might be later on.
Yeah.
Like you add that revenue stream
back in or something like that. Yeah, I was trying to please too many people in the beginning for sure. And I often hear this, that like you got to niche down, you got to do all those things, and that feels really like, ooh.
Yeah.
I don't know. Even when I hear it now, I'm like, oh, you can't niche down. You can't like pigeonhole your market.
Yeah. Definitely.
But I do believe that you have to become the master at something. Like Alex Hormozy always says, like take a year to become the best at, I don't know, website design, let's say.
Yeah.
Become the best at website design, learn everything there is to learn about website design, but don't focus on anything else. Don't do your own accounting. Don't do any of that. You've got one mission, and that's to be the best at this one thing, or like learn this one skill and go with it. And I really believe in that.
I 100% believe in that, even though I have two businesses that I design things in, like one's a website business, one's an interior design. But the thing about it for me is I couldn't have done them as new businesses at the same time.
Totally.
I was like so deep into my interior design career, like 15, 16 years. And then I was like, oh, this website thing keeps coming up. I love designing any space, and this online space is just like a, you know, a home, blah, blah, blah. Like the principles are the same. And so I was in a position through COVID to learn something new.
Yeah.
I couldn't have been like, okay, I'm going to start out as a new interior designer and as I had way too much stuff to learn in both businesses to be able to do them. And now people ask me like, which one's your favorite? And it goes back and forth. But right now I would say probably website, which is crazy. Like I would have never thought. It wasn't even on my radar. Like it wasn't something that I thought, because that's the other thing, like be open. You can't have one idea of what it's going to look like. It's not going to go in a straight line. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to just go up from here. It goes up and down and around the corner and around the corner and around the corner. And like you pivot and you rethink and you know, come up with new ideas, and you have to really think outside of the box sometimes in order to be in it for the long haul, because the markets do different things. The economy does different things. People's like, for instance, where Jamie lives, they recently made it so that you can't do an Airbnb business anymore. They're not doing Airbnbs. So if you are in the Airbnb business, your business is done today. So now people have two choices. They can sell their Airbnb. Or they can rent it out full time. Those are your choices. And maybe the government will change and they have the rule and you can go back to it.
Maybe the government can keep their hands to themselves.
Maybe, but probably not. So we'll see what the next ruling is on if it ever changes. But like if that was your business, you have to look at your options for pivot. And we could all be in that position at some point where everything changes. And
COVID was a big lesson for me because the government fully shut down my industry and was like, no more. For 2 years, it was not allowed.
Exactly.
So it was like, you can be the best at what you do, but if the government said you're not allowed to do it, well, then you're not allowed to do it.
Well, I wasn't allowed into people's homes. And so because I already had mobility challenges to get into people's homes, I'd already started doing a little bit of like e-design type of work, design boards, things like that. So I was already a little bit set up for it, but most people weren't. And that was a huge challenge in our industry. I'm like, how is this going to work? How can you keep your career through this crazy challenging time? What does that look like? And I think that's why it's so scary for people to niche. Because they're like, well, if I'm a one-trick pony, what, my trick gets taken away and no one cares about my trick, then what? Like, what do I do from there?
Yeah.
You know?
I still think about that though.
Me too.
Maybe truly it is like a PTSD trauma response because I did have that happen to me. And that's why I'm like, I'll never be a one-trick pony again.
Exactly. So when they're saying niche, you're like, no, I can't. I won't.
The other thing I think is that when I was young, like new in my business, I entered every scenario like a newbie.
Oh, yeah.
You know, where I'm like, yeah, sure. Like you have no boundaries. You're not willing to charge what you're worth. You literally come with such a desperate energy that they're like, oh, let's, lower the price on this. Let's ask for more. Let's do this. Like they
tell her she doesn't get paid for these kinds of days.
Not pay her
working
for,
at home
a half a year because what's she gonna say about it? She's just like an inexperienced
totally
girl. And I feel like the more you come with that, like, I don't need this energy, the more the universe is like, ooh, I kind of like that. Here's more work.
We have a friend that works corporate and she's the queen of like getting a new job and then writing the person that's hired her like a week before. And she's like, yeah, the signing bonus wasn't what I wanted. Meanwhile, she's already quit her other job.
And she's already signed a contract.
She's already signed the contract and she's like, I want more, I'm not coming. And I'm like, oh, you're amazing. Like, but you're scaring me. You're giving me anxiety.
But that like big, bold behavior is oftentimes rewarded. And like,
for sure.
Now I know for me, I'm quite picky about the contracts that I do take. And
same.
I get more offers for contracts than when I was like, I'll take anything.
No, and like just this week, you tried to like basically say, I'm not the girl for you. Like, I you know what? Find somebody else. Our dates don't work.
And if you still want me, I'm charging you way more because you've changed the scope a little bit, and it's gonna take me more time.
The dates don't work for me.
The dates don't work for me anymore, and they were like, yeah, no, it's okay, we'll pay.
Yeah. Like, oh man. You're like, no, I'm trying to shake you, but
it's that big
be willing to just say what you're worth.
Ballsy energy.
Be willing to lose it.
Yeah.
And that you don't have that muscle built up yet. The be willing to lose it because you're like every contract matters, and we get that, but showing up with the desperate energy says, oh, we can pay this person next to nothing, and you get paid next to nothing, and you can get trapped there because you start to believe that your worth is only what someone else has paid you and what someone else has decided.
And it's such a slippery slope because when I first started out, I started working with a company who basically like third party charged me out. So like they would take on the project and then they would hire me to do the project, and I was kind of the third party, and they would collect the money and then they'd pay me what they felt like they wanted to pay me. And they had already pushed me down enough that I was like uncomfortable with the rate, but I was like, well, it's work and it could be consistent work, and I was brand new in the industry. And then they pushed me even harder because they saw how easy it was to push me that first time. So it was like the first one, the first project I did, it was a rate that I was like, this is way too low for me, but I'll just take it and then I'll try to creep back up. Yeah. Well, the next project, they took another like $100 a day off. Yeah. And I was like, no, I was already at my basement, but I accepted it. And then the next time they took another $50 a day off. And it was just like this slippery slope where it was like, I was already uncomfortable.
They were calling your bluff on your basement.
Yeah, they were calling... Yeah. They were calling my bluff, and I ended up working there for a long time for not a lot of money.
Yeah, for sure.
So and I feel like that's the problem with boundaries. The second someone blows through them, it's permission to blow through the next set of boundaries, and the next set of boundaries, and the next set of boundaries. And next thing you know, you're down so low that you're like, how did I get here? Well, because inch by inch, you got there. You let somebody blow through your boundaries.
For sure. I feel like you say boundaries in every single episode because it comes up under every single topic. Like whether it's your personal life, your business life, your kids.
Anyone who wants to chat boundaries, holla. Yeah, exactly. Get at me, DM me, send me a message.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We'd love to hear where you're at in your entrepreneur journey. Are you new? Have you been in it a long time? What are the things you needed to hear? What are your takeaways from today's episode? We just love hearing from you. So reach out. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.
We are so grateful you're here.
It would mean the world to us if you'll subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel and leave us a review.
If you want to hear more from us, go to proofitspossible.com to join our mailing list and find our social links so you don't miss a thing.
Thanks, and chat next time.